Welcome to the unique world of Lockerbie learning. Do come in, we have lots to share. We know that by the year 2030, science is going to be all-encompassing, as is computer studies, and to a great extent communications, and to a greater extent psychology and sociology. What I'd like to start with is some interesting photos right over here that may look a little, what should I say, creepy. These were all taken from a series called The Black Mirror. It's on Netflix. I know that my children tell me they can only watch one at a time because it's so thought-provoking, they have to take a break. Others have told me that as well. I just binge watch it because I'm just so in awe of the world of our children's future. Memory historian, watch the series. Credit score technician, reincarnation specialist. Now I want to stop here for a moment to give you an idea that what I'm going to be talking about isn't really as science fiction as you think. I'd like to talk about the human resurrectionist. It's from an episode of The Black Mirror in which this young couple, newly married, they move house. And on the evening that the young husband returns the moving van, he dies in a car accident. At the wake, the young widow's best friend says, you know, there's an app that you can download if you ever feel that you need to talk to him still. Well, she sort of dismisses it as absolute rubbish, that she would never want to do that. And about 2 weeks later, she finds out she's pregnant. And she downloads the app. And the messages that came back from her husband's mathematical algorithm actually sounded just like him. And she got completely hooked. The situation, of course, doesn't end there, and I'll leave it to you to watch The Black Mirror to see how it ends. The interesting thing is that a couple of weeks later, when I was driving home and I had the BBC on the radio, I heard of this young app designer who had designed such an app, I'm presuming before The Black Mirror aired, which was really spooky. It made me realize that The Black Mirror is not science fiction at all. This is the kind of thing that you could encourage your children to watch. Maybe you should watch it first, or watch it even better with them, because I think you'd have a lot to talk about. Looking at the board, you will see up here, remote surgeon. We know that right now, in 2020, there are surgeons in hospitals who are carrying out an operation pretty much like this. They are remotely controlling a robot that's operating on their patient down the hall. And my research has shown that already hospitals around the world, their surgeons are using this same system to control robots in faraway countries half a world away. So, although it's a remote surgery, it's not that remote from your children's field of experience. When you cast your eyes on this board, you're going to see that there's quite a lot with science. You would expect genetic programmers, not only for the medical need of eradicating genetic disorders like sickle cell anemia. These are kind of linked to aging and the information that's coming out that medicine is going to find a way for us to live longer. Well, that brings in the whole sociological issues, but you're going to see a lot of things that aren't going to surprise you, like genetic programmer, species bioengineer. If anyone wants to know what that's about, please read Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and it'll frighten you and make you question the ethical issues involved. Of course, ethics is going to be huge, and that's why psychology and sociology have always been such popular subjects here for A-level. Spirituality will take on a whole new trend as people naturally separate and come into less and less contact with each other, as we are currently experiencing. Resurrection revivalists, we know that species are becoming extinct by the day, and the predictions are pretty gloomy. So this is a career that your children who may be interested in something like veterinary medicine, this may be something that they could really, really look at, because saving an animal, you know, with a broken pelvis is something they're accustomed to. But saving an animal that's gone extinct is something they may need to think about. They just haven't thought about it yet. Pollination engineer. So no sooner did this air on the Black Mirror, and that was really frightening because we had an awful hacker who turned this into a killing machine. Watch the episode. We're now making robotic insects to pollinate because bees have been placed on extinction list. Those of your kids who love art and design, this is going to be huge for them as well, because an engineer is accustomed to designing the mechanical processes. But industrial engineers and product engineers have to have an art background. So those art classes that your child hates is good for them. We've already talked about urban farming, and I mentioned Stefano Belleri. I want to focus on this one. A politician. Once again, watch the Black Mirror. Watch the episode with Waldo. I don't want to tell you anymore. I just hope I've piqued your curiosity so that you will see the dangers of how far a gullible and uninformed and socially media hooked population can contribute to their own demise. Colonist is a very real career of the future as we plan to settle Mars. Well, we've mucked up Earth, so we have to go somewhere else. A lot of kids looked at this and asked themselves, would I go? But think of the infrastructure and think of all of the different things that have to take place before colonization elsewhere can happen. A lot of kids don't like history, but we learn from history what happened when Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. While he was a fabulous explorer, he was an absolutely dreadful governor. And it ended up with the Treaty of Tordesillas and Spain and Portugal having to be separated globally by the Pope. Came into all kinds of wars and bad governance, and history comes to the fore here. As we move along, you're going to see something that's a little unexpected. My students were very fast to pick out that this is a ram here. Why do I say that a pilot basically just becomes a memory? The thing is that when you do the research, you will see that the only reasons that pilots are still flying aircraft is that human beings don't yet trust computers as much as they will in the very near future. They still think that a human is better at making a decision because of the emotions and the subjectivity than a computer would make objectively, because a computer has no need to preserve itself. Once that paradigm shift takes place, you will see that there will be more and more unmanned cars, which will drive themselves. There will be unmanned flights and that kind of thing.